Hello everybody, I'm Joan Stewart, the Publicity Hound. Welcome to this webinar on 7 things your 2015 publicity plan must include. This is actually a re-recording of an identical webinar I did earlier today. I recorded it and you know what, the sound just wasn't good, and I know when you have to sit and listen to these recordings for any more than about 10 minutes, they start to drive you crazy, and it was really tinny. So I'm re-recording it tonight. I'm going to present nearly the identical information, so rest assured you're not going to miss anything. Let's talk about why you need a plan and a strategy. Many people who come to me with publicity problems don't have either. And without them, you are only reacting. You're not being proactive and reaching out and looking for people who need you. You're simply reacting to anything that comes your way. And if the right things don't come your way, well, you're going to miss some key deadlines. Let's say, for example, that you have an opportunity to get into a special section in a special interest magazine that's devoted to a certain topic, and you want to pitch a story. If you don't know when their deadline is, and many of these magazines work several months out, you're going to miss the deadline, and you're also going to be missing publicity opportunities. You're not going to reach the right people with your message. I want to talk about 7, I call them old school tactics that waste time and energy, and I'm amazed at how many people who want publicity are still using these old school tactics as the bedrock of their publicity campaign. And once I tell you what these are, then I'm going to jump right in to the 7 things that you must have. But these are the ones that I keep seeing pop up time and time again. Relying primarily on traditional journalists. Traditional journalism is dying. Much of it is. There's even a website called Newspaper Death Watch where they post articles about newspapers that have died, and some of them are along the left-hand side there. For the newspapers that are still in existence, I plucked this headline from the New York Times earlier this month. New York Times plans to eliminate 100 jobs in the newsroom. USA Today cut 60 to 70 jobs due to declining print ads. And the daily paper I grew up with, the Cleveland Plain Dealer, actually has a fan page on Facebook. It's a page that was created for fans of the Plain Dealer. They want to try to save it. So yeah, a lot of big newspapers are still around, and if you can get into them, sometimes they can really present great opportunities for you in terms of publicity, but you don't want to only rely on traditional media. Here was one of the biggest changes in the magazine industry this past year. Ladies' Home Journal, a major magazine, dropped its monthly schedule. They even discontinued home delivery, and they switched to newsstand-only sales on a quarterly basis. And again, this is a pretty good magazine, and if you get into it, you can get some decent publicity, but you need to know that the magazine industry, like the newspaper industry, is really hurting, and your opportunities now are so fewer than they were 10 or 15 years ago in a lot of these publications. Number 2, another old school tactic, is relying on what I called the silver bullet. And when Oprah's program was still on, everybody wanted to get onto Oprah. And they thought if they could get onto Oprah, that would be the silver bullet. That would be the magic bullet that would really propel them to fame and fortune. And I knew people who have gotten on Oprah, and a lot of them didn't get nearly the response that they had expected. If you can get onto big shows, on National Public Radio or the Today Show or on Fox and Friends, it's great exposure. But you can't use only one of these big publicity opportunities to make yourself famous. It's just not going to happen. You have to create a steady stream of publicity and promotion. Number 3, relying primarily on press releases. This is a big mistake. Are press releases important? You bet they are. They're important because you want your releases to be the record that exists online. And you don't use press releases to get the big publicity. Why? Because when you distribute a press release, the media or bloggers all know that they're all getting the same thing, and they don't want to eat from the same trough. They don't want to be treated like a herd of cattle. They want something special just for them. That's why it's so important to deliver a customized pitch and to use the press release as collateral information, as backup, something that you can refer a journalist to for all the rest of the facts if they decide to cover you. Number 4, obsessing over your small social media audience. I see so many people worried because they only have 46 Facebook likes or 80 connections, or they only have 23 YouTube subscribers, and no one's added you to their circles on Google+, and people are all upset about this. And you have to understand who some of these people actually are. They're people who you really don't want to connect with anyway. So you really need to go out there, and you need to work really hard to get people to follow you. And I'll show you some ways to do that later in this training session. Number 5, promising to talk to more social media connections. People think that all they have to do is get on the social media sites and start talking to these people, and suddenly fairy dust is going to be dropped on them from above, and it doesn't work that way. A lot of people on these social media sites you wouldn't want to connect with. My heavens, look at some of these profiles. I also see a lot of really frivolous conversations going on. Now, if you're using Facebook, for example, to connect with your family and friends, you're going to be involved in frivolous conversations, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you're using Facebook for business purposes, you want to connect with people who are going to really need what you are offering in the business part of your life. And I know some people will disagree with me, and I know some people who follow me share a lot of personal information with their business audience on Facebook, and you're going to have to decide for yourself if that's something you want to do. The way that I do it, I don't get a lot of traction from Facebook personally, so I prefer to use Facebook primarily for business. And family and friends, if they want to know about me, they know to call me on the phone. So you don't just want to talk to your social media connections. You want conversations that are really going to bring you some results. Number 6, making your website look pretty. People think it's all about pretty websites. And to show you that it isn't, my first mentor, Tommy Antion, had for many years just what looked to be an atrocious website at antion.com, and I would lead people there, and they'd say to me, I'm not going to work with this guy. And he coaches speakers. That's one of the many things he does. And he's also in internet marketing, one of the foremost internet marketing coaches and mentors in the world. And people would say, I'm not going to follow this guy. His website's horrible. Well, guess what? His website makes millions of dollars a year, and it's not only about the window dressing. It's about the content. So don't think that if you have a pretty website, everything is going to fall into place, because it's not. You have to have the content that goes with it. I see so many people writing a book thinking that the book is going to be their key to visibility, and they spend thousands and thousands of dollars on coaches and on on editors and on cover designers, and as you know, as well they should, because you've got to have a well-designed cover. But the problem is they go to try to find a publisher for their book, or if they decide to self-publish, they try to find buyers for their book. And the problem is nobody's going to buy your book unless you already have a platform and visibility. So before you write a book, you need to build your platform. And platform means your audience. It means a lot of exposure online. It means your profile that's out there, really big, making you look bigger than you are. And a platform also includes a lot of people who need what you have, and they're following you on Twitter, they're connected with you on LinkedIn groups, they're on your email list, they subscribe to your newsletter, they subscribe to your blog's RSS feed. You need followers. So don't think that if you write a book, all of a sudden all these people are going to come flocking to you, because the book industry, ask anybody who has published a book, is really cutthroat. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever do. So let's talk about the 7 must-have elements in a publicity strategy and in your publicity plan for 2015. The first one is that you have to find and penetrate your target market. When people come to me and they have a publicity problem, the first question I ask is, who's your target market? And some people look at me like I just landed from Mars. They're silent. They don't know what to say. Some people, as strange as this seems, don't know who they are selling to. They're selling to customers. These are all the groups that your target market includes. It includes customers. It includes people who need you but don't know it yet. In other words, people who don't know who you are. That's part of your target market. They are joint venture partners who at some point are going to partner with you on specific projects or promotions. They are journalists and bloggers who will be covering you, who need the kind of material that you can offer as a great source. There are also influencers, those people within a target market or a niche who are really at the top of their game. They're the people who everybody looks to for advice and guidance and direction on what the next big trend is that's just around the corner. Your target market also includes people you can learn from. This whole process doesn't just mean you teaching people about what's in your brain. It also means you learning every day from people who are in your niche, from people who sell sometimes the same things you do. A lot of my competitors I follow and I learn from them. I happen to constantly need training in technology, and so I'm always following people who can make me more technologically savvy, because those are natural instincts that I don't have. So all of these people are in your target market. You need to find them and penetrate that market. So how do you do that? Well, there are a lot of questions you can ask yourself so you can find out who your target market includes. And here are some of the questions. How old are they? Where do they live? What are their job titles? And they may have numerous job titles. Your target market might include people in, let's say, 3 different niches. So people in each of those niches might have different job titles depending what their industries are. How much money do they make? What's their political affiliation? Are they gay or straight? Now, this might look odd, but you might be selling products or services for the gay community, hanging out on forums, or maybe they're in special interest groups. There are probably LinkedIn groups, I would guess, that are devoted to the gay community. Married or single? Kids or pets, or both? What's their religious preference? Other questions to ask. Do they buy what you're selling? Do these people buy the kinds of products and services that you sell? What controversial issues move them? Controversy is really important if you want publicity, and the more controversial you can become, the more people are going to pay attention to you. What general interest publications do they read? Which electronic newsletters do they subscribe to? What industry magazines do they read and subscribe to and write for? What blogs do they read? Which online forums are they active in? Which social media sites did they prefer? You might think that you need to be on all the major social media sites, and you don't. If your topic doesn't have a strong visual element to it, you may not want to bother at all with Pinterest. What social media communities or groups on social media sites are they in? What are their hobbies and interests? You need to know all of this. Perry Marshall was one of my coaches, and I attended a live event of his, oh gosh, it must have been about 10 years ago, and he said something that has really stayed with me, and I teach this to everybody who is in my mentor program, everybody who buys consulting with me, everybody who reads my newsletter, everybody who reads my blog. Perry says that you should know your target market so well that you would be able to write a page in their daily journal exactly the way they would write it. Think about that. Do you know your target market so well that you know what keeps them up at 3 a.m.? Do you know what the top 3 problems are that they might be writing about in their daily journal? Not just business problems, but what about personal problems? Do you know your customers that well? Here are 6 tools that you can use to find people in your target market. I think good old Google, using Google search, is probably the best research tool on the planet. If I'm looking for, let's say, environmental bloggers because I want to pitch a guest blog post to them, I'll go right to Google and I'll type in top 10 environmental bloggers, or best bloggers for environmental issues, or top 50 bloggers on the environment. Play around with it and use different words and phrases, and you'll be amazed at how many of these lists already exist online. LinkedIn Advanced Search helps you really drill down to find specific kinds of people, specific kinds of jobs, specific companies, and groups that are on LinkedIn. If you don't know how to use Advanced Search, that is a whole different discussion for another day. Advanced Search is, I'd venture to say, one of the top 3 most powerful parts of LinkedIn. Twitter directories, there are 3 of them. There are actually many of them, but 3 of the most popular ones are WeFollow, Twibes, Twibes, a takeoff on the word tribes, and Twello, which is short for the Twitter Yellow Pages. My personal favorite is right here, Twello. I love it. And you can go into these Twitter directories and you can search for people to follow by keyword, by location, by all kinds of different criteria. You can also use Quora.com. Quora is a giant question and answer site. You can go over to Quora, create a profile for free, and you can ask questions, and you can also answer questions that people are throwing out there. I try to answer as many questions as I can on Quora because it really helps show people how much you know, and it really helps you promote your expertise. Google Plus communities are great places to have really deep conversations with people. I find that the conversations here are much more involved and much more advanced than the conversations on some of the other sites like Facebook or on sites like Twitter, where you're limited to 140 characters. There are many, many online forums and discussion groups where people in sometimes the tightest niches hang out. If you're in a very, very narrow niche, you can find an online forum or discussion group and go in there and carry on conversations with people. You can answer questions, promote your expertise, ask questions of them, ask them what's on their minds, and you'd be surprised at what you find. This was a year or two ago. There was two moderators for a Yahoo group for romance writers had contacted me and said, we read your newsletter and we would love to have you do a webinar for our romance authors on how they can promote their books. Would you agree to do that? And I said, yeah, they'll do that. And I wasn't sure how many people would be on the line. I figured maybe just a couple of dozen. Well, it turns out that the romance genre is the largest genre in book publishing, and I didn't know that at the time. As a result of the webinar, many of the romance writers who heard me that night became subscribers to my e-zine. They became readers to my blog. They became my loyal followers, and some of them even became customers. So don't overlook online forums and these online discussion groups. They can be great places to be a really big fish in a small pond. Number 2, make it easy for them to find you. You don't only have to go out and look for people to find. Remember, there are people out there searching for the kinds of people just like you who have your expertise, and these people have problems that they need solutions to, and a lot of those solutions are right in your head. They too are using Google search. They too are using LinkedIn advanced search to look for people just like you. And they're also searching LinkedIn groups. I want to throw this in because a lot of people don't know this. If you're on LinkedIn, the maximum number of groups that you want to be a member of are 50. That's the maximum number of groups LinkedIn allows. And I can hear all of you groaning right now. Oh, I don't want all these notifications from all these groups. I don't want it clogging my email. Well, you can configure your settings within each group so that you receive absolutely no email from any of them, or you receive email every day or as soon as a discussion starts. And what I do is I'm active in about maybe 5 LinkedIn groups at a time. I'll be active in them for a couple of months, and then I'll turn off the notifications from those groups, and I'll be active in 5 more really good groups just so I have a presence within these groups, and then I'll turn them off after a couple months, and then I'll do 5 more. And you want to be in groups because it'll make it easier for people to find you when they're using LinkedIn Advanced Search. But here's the other reason. If you're in a group with somebody, let's say you're in an industry group and there are 2,500 people in that group, any one of those people can email you directly on LinkedIn without being a first, second, or third degree connection. Now think about that. That's really powerful. So if you're not in 50 groups, now don't just go joining them willy-nilly. There are a lot of them out there that you can join, and I want you to research the groups where your target market hangs out. People are searching Twitter directories. So when you go over there looking for people on Twibes or Twello or wherever, make sure that you create a profile so that people who are searching these directories for people on Twitter can find you. We follow Twibes and Twello. Google search, we talked about that. Google Plus communities. Take a look at the communities where you need to be. Now, I'm somewhat disappointed in the number of Google Plus communities for my target market. There are not a lot of them, and I got to tell you, Google Plus is still really new. There are a lot of people who are not on it yet. So if you can start your own community, and because there just are not a lot of communities that are devoted to your topic, this can really help boost your expertise. And remember, people are in those online forums and discussion groups looking for people just like you. So make it easy for them to find you. Here's an email I received in January of last year. I thought it was interesting. She says, "Hi, Joan. I believe I found your blog through a Twitter link, which is how I access most of my marketing and book industry info. My email gets clogged so quickly, so I don't subscribe to much, but I use Twitter to find links, and I enjoyed your article." So there you go. She emailed me. I'm guessing that maybe it was an article at my blog or at my website. And of course, at my website, I have my email address prominently displayed on the bottom of every page. You want to include contact information at your website. You want to include your phone, your email, and your shipping address. All three of those things are very important. Don't hide behind a contact us form. A lot of people don't even bother filling those out because a lot of web owners don't respond to them. So make it easy for people to find you. How are people searching for you? Well, they're using Google. So you want to do your keyword research. You should know which keywords people are plugging into Google to find the kind of people like you who can help them. And if you don't know how to do keyword research, there's a glut of information online. There are also all kinds of YouTube videos. You want to go after keyword phrases, not just one word. Let's say I'm not a publicist, but if I was, I wouldn't only try to rank for the word publicist. I would want a longer phrase that better explains exactly what I do. I would go after book publicist if in fact that's what I was. Let's say I specialized in romance books, helping authors publicize romance books. My keyword phrase would be romance book publicist, because that's what a romance author would type into Google to find a publicist. Use those keywords in the valuable content that you are sharing everywhere. Other ways people search. They ask through word of mouth. They ask people who they know. They subscribe to media lead services like helpareporter.com or pitchrate.com or PR Leads. These three media lead services will send leads to you from real life journalists who are seeking specific kinds of stories, specific kinds of sources for stories that they're working on right now. And if you subscribe to any of these services, you'll probably be inundated with leads, but that's the way it goes. PR Leads is one. It's a paid service, and it'll sift through all the leads for you and give you only the ones that are perfect for you. You don't have to look through all the rest, but the other ones like Help a Reporter, if you're subscribed to that service, you're going to get a zillion leads that have nothing to do with you. So use media lead services. Also Quora.com, I talked about that. People are looking on Quora for experts who can answer their questions. They are also going over to YouTube and they're searching for how-to videos on how to solve a problem. I asked my webmaster today how to do something with Camtasia, a video editing program, and he said, why don't you just go over to YouTube? Just, look for it over there. There are a zillion how-to videos on how to use Camtasia over on YouTube. And, you can learn it there, much quicker than it would take me to teach you. And that's a pretty good idea. So people are on YouTube searching for solutions to problems that you can help them deal with. So you need to be on YouTube. People are searching by asking for referrals from other people on the social media sites. And here's an example. In the PR and Communications Professionals group on Google+, which I'm in, I saw a request from Jason Pridemore. He said, I need help finding a PR firm that has connection in the fitness and adventure industry. If anyone here can point me in the right direction, it would be most appreciated. And I thought, I know somebody. Michelle Tennant from Wasabi Publicity went through my mentor program. She's a graduate of the Publicity Hound Mentor program, and I know that she did a 4-month publicity campaign for The Gorge, which is a zipline company. She generated a ton of publicity for them, so I gave her a recommendation right here. I put her husband's name, Shannon Nicholson, right here. He's the VP of Sales. I included his telephone number. Do you think Jason is happy about this? How many other people in this group would know of a PR firm that has connections in the fitness and adventure industry? So in Jason's eyes, I am a really valuable source, and I know a lot of stuff. So share information on the social sites when people reach out for help. Number 3. You are the media, so act like it. Stop going after only traditional media. We don't have to grovel and beg and bow before only newspapers anymore, or only magazines, or the broadcast outlets, TV and radio. We can create our own media outlets and get the word out that way. I recommend you do both. Pitch traditional media and also create your own media outlets and push the message out to your target market. Paperly is a way that you can create your own newspaper. On YouTube, you can have your own YouTube channel. Look at this guy, Vince Del Monte, the skinny guy savior. The skinny guy savior. He's a savior for skinny guys. Has 101,622 skinny guys who subscribe to his YouTube channel. That is really cool. I don't have nearly that many subscribers, but I'm working on it. He has his own TV show here. Every time he posts a new video, 101,622 people are notified that he has a new video up here. So that's one of the big benefits of being on YouTube. Podcasting, you can have your own radio show. I was on a guest on the School of Podcasting. .com. I was a guest on their podcast, and he recorded it and he put it online here, and a lot of people, the podcasting world, you should know this, the whole world of podcasting, it's sort of like it's a separate planet. There are thousands and I'd say millions of people in the whole podcasting area. A lot of them, they don't want to read text. And I've been seeing these requests come in from people who follow me. They say, I love your newsletter. Why don't you offer it also as a podcast? I don't want to have to sit in front of my computer and read it. I want to listen to your news tips, your newsletter tips, when I'm working out on the treadmill, or when I'm out walking my dog, or when I'm commuting to work. Will you please start a podcast? And so the answer is yes. I've got that on my to-do list. I even have my own podcasting coach, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I promise. It's coming soon. I have my own electronic newsletter. This is sort of my own little newspaper. I've been publishing it for about more than 13 years, maybe going on 14 years. And I moved from weekly publication, which was a really long newsletter. I cut it in half, and now I do it twice a week. And if you're saying, oh man, I couldn't even do it monthly, I would urge you to reconsider. If you subscribe to my newsletter, you don't need to do what I do. All you need to do is provide some weekly tips. They don't have to be a big, long newsletter. They can be just a couple of tips on how people can solve a particular problem, free tools, free tricks that people in your target audience are looking out for. And to do that, you need a good email list of subscribers. Number 4, You need to create and share content, content, and more content. You're the expert, right? That's what experts do. They now are content machines. Good content entertains people, it educates them, or it helps them. And it doesn't all have to be serious. It can be very entertaining. If you are let's say you happen to be a professional magician, you're not going to be doing a lot of YouTube videos that are educating people. You might be if you happen to be a coach for magicians, but you're going to be doing a lot of YouTube videos where you can really show people your best stuff so that meeting planners can come over there and hire you for their engagements. Great content is 92% more effective than the ads that you see on TV. I don't know about you, but when I'm on one of these, when I go to a website and these annoying videos just launch as soon as I get to the site, I turn them off. When I'm watching TV, when it comes to a commercial, I just turn down the volume and I go leave the room to get something from the refrigerator, come back, and then when the program comes back on, I turn the audio back up. And not so with great content. If I find great content online, I'm looking for more of it. Who is your target audience, and where's the pain? What is the itch that they have that you can scratch? That's the kind of content that you should be creating. What questions are they emailing you? Pay attention to your email. Every time you see a question, that's a tip-off that it might be a blog post. It might be a topic for a short little YouTube video that you can create. It might be a discussion topic that you can start in one of your LinkedIn groups. It's about content and distribution. It's not only about creating the content, it's also about distributing it and also making it easy for others to share. And to do that, you want to be sure that you use a lot of the social media buttons and the widgets and the plugins that are out there that make it really easy when people see a great video to just click on any one of these buttons here and to go over to one of their social profiles and share it with their audience over there, because a lot of those people, I'll bet a lot of them don't know about you. So let's take a look at some of the kinds of content you can share, because a lot of people think it's just sort of maybe words and video, and it's not. It's articles, it's blog posts, and guest posts that you write for other people's blogs. It's YouTube videos, Vine, those short little Vine videos, infographics. There are a variety of tools out there that let you create your own infographics for free. People love infographics. Photos. You know how photos go viral. Slide decks, how-to guides, images, illustrations, case studies, ebooks, newsjacking. Do you know what newsjacking is? You've probably heard the term. Newsjacking is when you take a topic that's really hot in the news right now and you piggyback off that topic to promote yourself. And I'll give you an example. Let's say, well, the Ebola is the top story of the day almost every day now. And if you happen to work in the PR department of a hospital that is getting a lot of training sessions in place really quickly for your nursing staff and for others who work in the hospital, that's a story that you might pitch to bloggers, to local television stations, to local newspapers. You could write about it at your blog. You can create videos on it. So look for the hot topics of the day to piggyback onto or to newsjack. Twitter chats, that's content. And so are Google Hangouts. So those are some examples of the kinds of content you can be creating. Do you have to do all these? No, just pick a couple and do them well. Here are some examples. There are some great little tools out there. Quozio is one, Quozio.com, that lets you create these neat little quotes that you can put in a box, little pop quotes. The Hidden Risks of Hype was an infographic that Marcia Yudkin created when she pitched a guest blog post to me, and when I saw this illustration, I went nuts. It's really, really good. This illustration, oddly enough, promotes I think it was a webinar or training session that she had coming up on, I can't remember what the topic was, but she really thought long and hard about how she was going to promote it, and she knew that my target audience is her target audience, so she pitched a great idea for a blog post, and she had this fabulous infographic that went with it, and I was just pleased as punch to feature it at my blog. Also, slide decks. I don't create these. I know a lot of people who do. I personally don't like slide decks. I don't like having to constantly click through to find the information I'm looking for. I would much rather just scroll. So, some people like slide decks. So if you're into this and if it works well for you, create them. The results of great content, when you share it, here's what happens. It creates a buzz. It positions you as an expert. You can share it with bloggers and journalists. It adds value because those bloggers and journalists are also sharing it with their audience, and you're beating your competitors because a lot of people who you compete with aren't doing this stuff. They're relying on the same old traditional media outlets to get them publicity. They're hoping that traffic comes to their website. They're not capturing email addresses to build a nice big email list of people who they can share valuable information with. They just hoping that something changes and that something magical happens. And you know what? That doesn't happen. The fairy dust doesn't come floating down from the clouds. It just doesn't. You have to work really hard to make it happen. Great content also builds a really loyal audience. This slide was redone. So if you were on the original recording of this, I gave you some erroneous information that somebody on the call was kind enough to point out to me. And so I reworked the bullets on here, and I want to correct my error. Originally, it said that I wanted you to create a Google profile as well as Google authorship. I want you to forget about authorship. Authorship was this thing that Google had that not a whole lot of people used, and authorship was used to track your content and to let Google know that you're a real life human being, and it put these little thumbnail pictures on a lot of the search results that would pop up here. And Google has discontinued authorship a couple of months ago, and it was really complicated, and a lot of people didn't know how to do it. You had to get a little snippet of code and put it on your site. Forget about authorship. It's not here anymore. You don't have to worry about it. What you do have to concern yourself with is creating a Google profile. And if you don't know how to do that, just go on to Google and do a Google search for how to create a Google profile, and it'll walk you through it. You need a Google profile before you can go on to Google+, and your profile establishes your persona, or what's the phrase I want? It gives you the same appearance across all of Google's properties, because the same little thumbnail will show up here from YouTube to Google Hangouts to all the other things that you use Google for. The other great thing about your Google profile is that you can link to a lot of your other content online, and I'll show you how I did that in a minute. And remember, you want this little thumbnail photo to show up. This is part of my Google profile, and I revisit this periodically because several months ago I just started writing for entrepreneur.com again, and I write for them every other week, and so I included a link to entrepreneur.com here so that people can go follow me over there. I also have contributed to Social Media Today. My blog is listed on one of the top blogs for Bulldog Reporter's daily dog blogs for the PR industry. I write for the Future of Ink blog, and you want people to be able to find your content, and it really, it's going to score points for you if you let Google know all the places where you have profiles. I've got my e-zine archives here. I have a free tutorial on press releases, and I have to tell you that if you are taking my free tutorial on how to write press releases, and if you're in my system, and if you're getting the autoresponder emails every day, I'm in the process of updating that course. If you don't know what I'm talking about, and if you want to get into the loop and have me send you one email a day for 89 days, or little email lessons on everything you need to know about how to write press releases, go ahead and email me, please, at jstewart, STEWART, at publicityhound.com, jstewart at publicityhound.com, and my assistant will get you into the autoresponder series called 89 Ways to Write Valuable Press Releases. There are actually 89 lessons, and by the time you're done, it's going to be as though you have earned a master's degree on how to write press releases, because press releases are still important. We're not going to rely on them, however, as the major way that we get publicity and promote ourselves. I saw results, fabulous results, on Google Plus in only 4 days, and here's how. Denise Wakeman, who is connected with me on Google Plus, I reached out to her, actually. I pitched her and asked her if she would like me to do a little training session via a Google Hangout for her audience on how to build a Pinterest board, not of pretty photos, but of simple tips. And you can see that these are not pretty photos. They're all how-to tips that I built in PowerPoint slides. And my Pinterest board, you can see it here, 50 Tips for Free Publicity, gets fabulous Google ranking. She loved the idea. So we did a webinar for a Google Hangout for her audience, and she shared it with her audience. And we are both in a very big, very active Google Plus group called Google Plus for Small Business, and it's moderated by, either pronounce his name, I think it's Stefan Hovnanian or Stephen Hovnanian, I think it's Stefan, and he is the moderator, and he has a gazillion people who follow him. Look what he did. He tagged me here, and look at this. 36 people, he shared the link here to the replay, and 36 people liked it, 6 people shared it. It also got some comments, and it started to move all throughout this group and all over the internet. And it caught the attention of a guy named Mike Alton, who is another guy who's really big in the whole Google Plus arena, and that exposed me to him, and he shared the link with people in his audience, most of whom probably don't know about me. So what's the big deal, you ask? Well, these 3 people alone, look at the number of people who have each of these 3 people in their Google Plus circles. Denise has 8,475 people have her in their circles. Stefan has 18,515, and Mike has 97,599 followers who have him in their circles, for a grand total of 124,589 potential sets of eyeballs that would see that webinar. And I noticed immediate results. I got a lot of traffic to my website because I knew where they came from on Google Analytics. I also had subscribers to my newsletter. I had a lot of email comments from people, all because I pitched Denise on a webinar that I wanted to do on one of her Google Hangouts. Number 6, you must embrace technology. I told you that the reason I'm re-recording this is because I didn't like the sound of the audio on the GoToWebinar that I recorded. It just sounded really tinny, and that's sometimes what happens when you use GoToWebinar. And I thought, okay, I'm going to embrace technology. I'm going to take another hour out of my evening, and I'm going to re-record this for you because I don't want you to have to suffer through an hour of a really tinny audio recording. I struggle with technology. I'll be the first to tell you that. And I always want to be learning, and you should too. And sometimes that's really hard to do because I don't have a techie mind. Sometimes I tell people I don't have a technical bone in my body, and I pay a lot of technology consultants to teach me this stuff. And I see people who come to me, they don't know how to put an opt-in box at their website so that they can capture email addresses. I have people who don't know how to manage their own websites using a WordPress blog. If you're relying only on your webmaster, you are at that person's mercy. Get somebody to help you with technology. There are a lot of Google Plus groups filled with people who would love to help you. There are specific Google Plus groups, for example, devoted just to YouTube, or to use YouTube in conjunction with Google Plus. And these people are very, very giving, and they love helping people because they want to promote their own expertise. So take advantage of it. There are all those free tools online that you can use, so many of them, to help you over your technology problems. Pick one thing and do it well. I knew nothing about how to publish videos to YouTube. And so I was just sort of throwing videos up there. And it wasn't until about 1.5 years ago that I took a very in-depth YouTube course from Jeff Johnson on, it was just everything, it was A to Z on how to use YouTube as a lead generator. And I couldn't believe how much I didn't know, because YouTube is changing really quickly. And one of the most valuable things I learned about YouTube, and this is a great tip I'm going to pass along to you, when you post a video to YouTube, YouTube gives you space for a description. And in the old days, I would just slap a sentence or two up there that described the video. Did you know that YouTube gives you 5,000 characters to write a description on the video? Now think about this. Think about this. Google owns YouTube. Google is giving you that great big piece of real estate tied to your YouTube video to put keywords and keyword phrases in that describe the video. That's going to help you pull more traffic. So what I started doing is I went out and I hired a freelance writer to start writing articles that I'm going to use as the descriptions. Even for some of the older videos that I put up there, you can always go back and you can add to, or you can beef up the descriptions from some of your old videos, and that's really going to help you pull traffic. So that's a $1 million tip right there. Number 7, you have got to listen and help first. Always, always, before you ask people to buy something. Listen by paying attention to your email. Remember what I said about questions that you see in your email? Pay attention to what people are asking you. I give away free advice pretty much to everybody who emails me. Sometimes it's only a sentence or two, but I want to be viewed as helpful. And if they ask me something that falls under the umbrella of paid consulting, I will tell them that, and I'll give them a couple of free tips, but I'll tell them that the in-depth answer to their question falls under the area of paid consulting. And if I've helped them a little bit just with a couple tips, they may invest in my consulting time. Listen on Google Plus, on Twitter, and on Quora, the big question and answer site. Listen. in your LinkedIn discussion groups. Look at the discussions and the questions people are throwing out there. Answer those questions. You will become a recognized expert very quickly within that group. Facebook groups have worked very well for some people. For me, I don't use Facebook groups. I don't get a lot of traction on Facebook. I know some people do. If Facebook works well for you, then keep doing it. You might want to look at some of the special interest groups on Facebook. Go into those groups and see what people are talking about. There's a site called allexperts.com you may want to investigate. I certainly hope that you are posting comments at other people's blogs. I always read comments on a blog that has just delivered a lot of great information, or sometimes I'll see information in a blog post that isn't explained very well, and I'll look down into the comments to see if somebody clarified something from that blog post that I was wondering about. So commenting also gives you a link back to your website, remember. The American Express Open Forum is a great place for where small business people hang out, and if that's part of your target market, go on over there and participate in the forum. I've gotten a lot of feedback from people over there just in the couple times that I've been over there answering questions. Your 2015 publicity plan must include, let's go over them again, you need to find and penetrate your target market, make it easy for them to find you. You are the media, so act like it and create your own media outlets. Create and share content, and more content. Connect with influencers. Embrace technology. And listen and help first, always. Let me help you. I can tell you how to identify and find your target market. I'm astonished at how many people have problems with this. I can help you determine which media outlet to create first, or what not to do at all. Some of these things that I've shared with you might not be right for you, and I can help you determine that. I can tell you the kind of content to create to best pull people to you. I can even critique that comment. Work with me to create your strategy for your 2015 publicity plan. And here's how to do it. Here's my offer. If you buy 1 hour of consulting time with me, it's either on the phone or we can do it on Skype, and that's at $300 an hour. I'm going to give you a coupon worth $100 off any training tools that you think are going to help you. And if you're not quite sure which ones I have, I'm going to give you my personal recommendation on which webinars, videos, special reports, ebooks I have that are going to continue the training and get you where you need to be the quickest. As I was thinking of something to offer you at the end of this webinar, I kept trying to come up with something that suited everybody. And I have a lot of different people in my target market. A lot of you are authors. The only reason you follow me is because you want help with book publicity. Some of you are speakers. You don't care about books. You need exposure in front of meeting planners. You need publicity so people will hire you to speak. Some of you are publicists, and you need help coaching your publicity clients, the people who rely on you to get them publicity. And some of you are going to ask me questions and use me during a consulting session for things that are very different than what the authors and the speakers and the small business owners would use me for. So that's the deal. Let me help you one-on-one over the phone. I want you to tell me ahead of time what it is that you want help with. And I'll tell you that I do some prep work beforehand. I never charge consulting clients for prep work beforehand, and that will include going over to their website, taking a quick look around. I might review some of their social media profiles quickly. So you're going to have 60 minutes with me on the phone, and I'm going to want to know beforehand specifically what you need my help with. And if you're not quite sure, I'll ask you questions during the call that will help me lead you in the right direction. After the call, I'm going to give you a coupon code good for $100 off some of my products. And again, I'm going to make a recommendation on which of those products you need to help you reach your goals the quickest. So your investment is only $300, and you're going to get $400 of value out of it, and a whole lot more once you start to get a whole lot of exposure online. I'm going to really shorten your learning curve. Use me. Here's some ways to use me during our consulting session. Let me help you create an overall strategy. Let me help you create a key message that really resonates with your target market, and I'm going to make some recommendations on how you can find the people in your target market. I'm going to suggest a lot of things that you probably have never thought of. I'll help you find the key influencers who you need to connect with who can help you. I'm going to recommend the best free tools. If you follow my newsletter, you know that I share hundreds and hundreds of free tips and tools. And not all of these are in one place. They're not all at my website, or they're not all in one great big online toolbox. They're all they're all in my brain is where they are. And if you do a consulting call with me, I'm going to suggest the best free tools that you can use to do a lot of the things that I've talked about during this call. I'll show you how to create a valuable email list so that you can start to build an email list of people and drip out emails to them on a fairly regular basis filled with helpful information, and then occasionally an email that's promoting something that you're selling. I'll even critique your writing and help you create killer copy. I'm a writing coach. I worked for 20 years as a writing coach on the newspapers where I worked, and I can give you great feedback on articles you've written, on blog posts. If you've got website copy or sales copy that you'd like me to critique, we can use the hour for that as well. I have somebody in my mentor program who uses me exclusively as a writing coach. That's where she needs the most help. I can even help you retool and rewrite your pitches if you're pitching a particular idea to a journalist. Susan Joyce went through my mentor program twice, and she helped her take her lifeless Twitter account that she had set up and target people who she wanted to reach. And last year she was up to 44,000 followers on Twitter, and that helped her really gain great visibility as a job hunt expert, and it helped her get onto some of these. Remember I told you about these lists that people are creating, like 20 Twitter resources for job hunters? Mashable, a gigantic blog, created this list, and Susan was on the list because of the exposure at her website, and she got onto all these other great lists. So that's one thing that she needed help with, and I helped her do. And in our 60-minute session, if you need help with this, I can help. Your investment, only $300. So if you're on PayPal, I'll happily take a PayPal payment. We will need to schedule your 1 hour of consulting before November 14th. Let's hit the ground running on this. Let's not delay. I have a lot of valuable information to share with you. I want you to explain on the order form when you order what you want to cover so that I can do a little bit of prep work before we get together. And if you've got a website you want me to critique or social media profiles, send those along too in a separate email. Give me a few times and dates that work best for you. I want to do this from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and I'm in the Central Time Zone. That's an hour behind New York City. If you are in another country and you're in a time zone that's inconvenient for you, I'll be happy to Skype, and we'll make it work. I'm very flexible. So let's get started. You can claim your 1 hour, schedule your 1 hour of consulting by going to publicityhound.com/shop/workwithjoan. And you can order it right there. I can tell you my calendar is filling up fast. So you're going to want to get over there right away. And if you're, if you don't know your schedule, run a couple of times and dates by me. That's the best way to do it. Then I can get you on the calendar right away. Okay, I'm going to answer a couple of questions that came in earlier on today's webinar that I want you to be privy to. Somebody asked, what do you do if you pitch a journalist and you don't get a response from them? And my answer is, you can do a couple of things. First of all, don't assume that if you pitch them via email that they even got the email. A lot of my email falls through the cracks because I get so much of it. And when people follow up with me and say, if you received my first one, this is just a reminder, I sent you this a couple days ago, I am glad that they followed up because I don't want to miss out on some of the valuable information that they're offering. So what I tell people is you can follow it up with a pitch a second time, and in that follow-up pitch, offer some additional information. Offer, let's say, a link to a YouTube video that they might find helpful. Offer a little tips list, 7 tips on how to do something that they might be interested in as a sidebar to their story. Somebody also had asked about Twitter. How can they get influential people to follow them on Twitter? And I think one of the best ways to do that is to share the content that's being put out there by the influential people who you want to follow you. And on Twitter, you can do that by tagging them on Twitter. Like, let's say you're going to share my content. You're going to say, here's a helpful tip from Publicity Hound. I have a little column on Twitter called Mentions, and it shows me all the people who mention me. And if I see that you're mentioning me a lot and you're sharing a lot of my content, I know that you're part of my loyal audience, and I'm probably going to follow you back. I like that. So that's how to get influential people to follow you on Twitter. Start getting their great content that they're sharing and share it with your target market. Okay, somebody asked the question about this call. Do they have to order before November 14th, or does the call have to be before November 14th? The call has to be before November 14th. I don't want this to delay. I don't want you to have any delays in this. I'm going to give you a lot of, probably a lot of assignments during our 1 hour coaching call, and I want you to get started on those. And some of these are going to be assignments like go over to Twello, the Twitter directory, and I want you to find 20 or 10 or 5 influencers in your niche whose content you should be sharing. That might be an assignment from me as part of the coaching call. And I don't want you doing this in January. I want you doing it now, or I want you doing it in November, or I want you to be doing it maybe in your spare time over the holidays when things tend to slow down so that you can hit the ground running come January. Okay, that's it for today. I picked the winner who got a half an hour of consulting with me, and that winner is Paula Rasich. So Paula, congratulations. And Paula already has scheduled her half hour of free consulting with me. That's a little door prize that I gave away for everybody who stayed with me right to the end on this call. And for those of you who are listening to the replay, sorry, you're not eligible. So next time I have a webinar, you want to listen live whenever you can, because I give away some of these little freebies. So if you haven't claimed your consulting time yet, go over to publicityhound.com/shop/workwithjoan, or email me any questions about anything you want to know about this, on how it works, and I'll be happy to help you. Some of you might want coaching with something that doesn't have anything to do with publicity. It might be something dealing with sales copy or internet marketing, and I've done a lot of that over the last 2 decades that I've been online, so there are a lot of things in my brain that you can tap into. That's it for today. Thanks for sticking with me right to the end. I'm Joan Stewart, the Publicity Hound, and before we close, I want to urge you to follow my newsletter, subscribe to my newsletter. A lot of the tips that you saw during this past hour are tips that I share in my newsletter. It comes out twice a week, every Tuesday and Saturday. It's about a 5-minute read. It's short and sweet. It's free, and you can go to publicityhound.com and sign up in the box that you see in the upper left-hand corner. So that's it for today. Again, thanks for sticking with me straight to the end. Now go out and create some great publicity for yourself. I can even help. Take care, everybody.